And joining us now, as promised, is one of my favorite content providers, the former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds, Washington Nationals, and long time with the New York Yankees, right? In the front office of the Yankees, Jim?
Yeah, I had a great time there with Brian Cashman back in the day. It was a lot of fun.
I'll bet you did. Wanted to talk to you about the Orioles offseason, but before I do that, just had to ask you something I've never asked before. You are really an incredible baseball mind. When you left the Nationals, did you think that was the end of your management career? And do you view it as closed, that you won't work for a team again?
Oh, I've turned down 3 or 4 different offers to go back to the front office, but the reality is I don't want to work the hours that job takes, right? Because it's basically 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's not something that I have interest in jumping back in. I love this side of things because, look, I get to still deal with the 30 GMs on a regular basis. I still get to represent them, but I'm on their side, right?
Yep.
When you're a GM, you're always competing with them. So, yeah, I mean, I've had opportunities not to be a GM, but front office spots that I had turned down because I like this lifestyle better.
All right. Thank you for that answer. Interesting. Mike Elias, have you played golf before? You're a golfer at all?
I am not a golfer.
Okay,
no interest in golf.
But
yeah,
you understand.
Takes too much time.
You understand. I couldn't agree more with you. But you understand the concept that a lot of people can drive the ball deep, and then it's the game that closer to the hole that's the important part at a lot of levels. Is Mike Elias at the point in his career where he's going to be judged by how he chips and putts rather than the big picture of hitting the ball deep?
Yeah, I like the way you kind of did that analogy. So hitting the ball deep is building an organization filled with talent, right, through the draft. And certainly when you look at Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman and Colton Cowser and Enrique Bradfield and Kobe Mayo and Grayson Rodriguez, I mean, look, you got a lot of great talented players that you built a core that has the capability of winning a world championship. But now it's about putting a team together that wins, right?
Yep.
Once you get that core, then it is the only thing that matters is getting it in the hole. It is that last putt, right, to win. You want to win in golf. It's that last putt. You got to make it. And so here he is. Now, I think people need to give him more credit than they give him on what he did a year ago. He made the trade for Corbin Burns. Yeah, it was only 1 year of Burns so far, but he went out and did that. And so he showed Oriole fans and the world that in the biggest moments, yes, he can come through. Now, unfortunately, for whatever reason, it didn't work out last year for Baltimore. There's a lot of different reasons, as you know.
Sure.
But the fact that he went and did that, I don't want people to forget that, because it seems to me that a lot of people forget that he did that. He went out and made that trade. And by the way, he did it without giving up his top prospects. So not only did he make that move, but he did it without making the top prospects. That being said, look, I know where you're going with this. I totally get it. Give him some time, though. I want to see him finish the job. You know, one of the things when you go back in history and look at teams that win the championship, a lot of times it's those last pieces, right?
Sure.
It was when the Cubs went and got John Lester to finish the job, right?
Yep.
It's when the Nationals went and got Max Scherzer, finish the job, or the Astros with Justin Verlander to finish the job. And so, you know, you've got this window right here, and let's give him time to do it. It's tricky, right? Because there's a lot of finances. You want to hold on to your prospects because of the window, but you also got to win in this window. And you can't just keep kicking the can, you know, down the road.
Jim, big question about Elias's draft record. It's hindsight's always 20/20. Did he make the wrong pick in Rutschman over Witt?
I mean, look, it's easy after the fact, right? After the fact, we can all do it. I mean, look at all the teams that passed on Mike Trout or Clayton Kershaw or Madison Bumgarner. It's not that easy. You know, at the time, you're talking about a generational catcher in Adley Rutschman, right? So, you know, I don't think it's fair to come back afterwards and say, did he? I mean, sure, in retrospect, sure, he'd rather have Bobby Witt Jr. right now. But I don't think that's fair to do that because none of us know for sure what they're going to become. I mean, where did Aaron Judge get drafted as an example? So, yeah, after the fact, it's easy, but at the time, did it make sense? Absolutely.
Tell me what you thought of the second half of Adley Rutschman last year, and does it scare you moving forward, or you think it's an aberration or an injury?
I think it's the best thing that could have happened to Adley Rutschman. When players get humble, they figure it out. And, a lot of these Major League Baseball players never fail. They don't do it in Little League. They don't do it in junior high, high school. They go on to college. They never fail. They go to the minor leagues. They don't fail. And so when you fail for the first time, it's how you rebound. It's how you learn. It's how you pick yourself up. It's how you make sure it doesn't happen the next time. I'll take Adley Rutschman over any catcher in baseball, and it's not even debatable for me. That's the guy I want. I'm expecting him to have a huge year this year, and I'm expecting him to be in the MVP conversation.
Interesting. Last year at the trade deadline, clearly Mike had been obsessed with fixing the pitching that had been so problematic and injury-laden, and he made two trades. He picked up Zach Eflin, and he picked up Trevor Rogers. We all know what Eflin did, and looking forward to seeing him pitch this year. Is Trevor Rogers savable?
I don't know the answer to that question. I certainly wouldn't go into 2025 thinking he is. The one thing I learned over the years, though, is that a lot of times when you've had injuries, it takes 2-3 years before you can come back. I mean, he's only 27 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And so he's young enough. I saw him before he ever got injured with Miami. I saw him pitch a lot, and he had tremendous high potential. So is there a possibility he can come back to that level at some point? Yeah, I mean, there is. I mean, that doesn't mean he's going to, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like the Nationals yesterday signing Mike Soroka. I don't know if Soroka's ever going to come back and be the pitcher that I saw him with Atlanta 4 or 5 years ago, but if he does, you got something. So that's kind of how I view him. For the Orioles right now, though, you have to look at this team and say, okay, our window to win a World Series is we're in it.
Yeah.
So is that our best shot? And I think with Eflin and Grayson Rodriguez and Dean Kramer, you feel good about it. And I like the gamble he took with Sagano because he only had to give him a 1-year deal. And so you look at his success in Japan. I see no reason why he can't come over here and have success as well. So we need one more starter, the Orioles do, and we need to keep adding the bullpen because you don't get enough. And we learned that last year. I mean, look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. They went through 12 starting pitchers. And somehow still had the best regular season record. And we saw in the postseason, the teams that had the best and deepest bullpens were the ones standing at the end of the year. So, look, the Orioles have the position players, mix and match. You got enough balance to run the table. You do, but you got to keep adding the pitching. I mean, the Yankees went at it, Max Fried and Devin Williams. Those were significant pickups.
No question.
And the Red Sox are out there right now. They're in on Corbin Burns. They're in on Tanner Scott. I mean, they're going full bore as well. And, that division's not going to be easy. So for me, the obsession has to be pitching, and more pitching.
The Dodgers won last year. Just a couple more questions, Jim. I know you're up against it a little bit time-wise. The Dodgers last year won because they had so much depth, people coming off the IL all season long at the back end of their staff. Do you think Mike needs to work on that as well? Because it's right at this point, it's almost like, well, we're getting Bautista back. I don't think you can count on him being Bautista from day one.
You never get enough pitching. I don't care who you are. Yeah, you never get enough. Just keep being obsessed with it and keep adding depth, keep adding quality, depth, quality. You can't add enough. It's a long season. Injuries are going to happen. And, you watch what the Dodgers are doing. It's a very fascinating study because they're building their team for October.
Yeah.
So they're building a pitching staff for October. They're gonna baby their pitchers. You're not gonna see guys throw 200 innings, 190 innings, 180 innings anymore in Los Angeles.
Right.
120 to 150. That's gonna be it, and we're gonna save all the innings for October. Can't get enough.
Fascinating. The starting pitching. Last question for you, Jim, is who is out there that you think is a perfect fit for the Orioles?
Well, you had him. It's Burns.
Burns.
Sasaki. I mean, those are the two guys that move the needle for me. Like, I like those game one starters. I like to look up and know I have an ace.
Yeah.
I get to October, I want the ace that can shut you down. There's two guys on the open market that do that, Burns and Sasaki. That's it. So, yeah, I want you to keep Burns. I love what he did last year in Baltimore. So I know it's going to be expensive, and I know you want to save your money for the young kids, but you also have to look at the window. Your window with this group, you don't know for sure you're going to be able to keep all these kids 3 years from now, 4 years from now. So this is your run. You want to bring a world championship to Baltimore. You want those crab cakes to taste better. Do everything you can to win now. And look, you're going to have to lose money now. Okay, you'll make it up in 4 years. You can lower the payroll in 4 years. But if you win a world championship in the next 4 years, it'll pay for itself. This is when an owner hands the checkbook to Mike Elias and say, do what you need to do.
Jim Bowden, he writes for The Athletic. He's also on SiriusXM and quite a bit. I see him all the time popping up on CBS Sports online. Really appreciate the time, Jim.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.